quarterfinals here. And of course, as always, between these games, after game one, we are going to give away some premium trivia giveaway. So make sure that you stay tuned for that possible 3 free months of Star City Games Premium. To the match at hand, it looks like Chris Andersen is mulliganing here.
Yeah, Chris on the draw here. It looks like Jack is happy with his opening 7, whereas Chris is going to have to drop down to 6 cards.
Now, when it comes to this matchup, Jack Fogle has a lot of hand disruption. We've got 5 targeted discard for 1 mana, and then 2 Liliana of the Veil as his baseline hand disruption.
Yeah, and you know, he doesn't have too many great answers to the Thopter Foundry combo that Chris can assemble. He has 1 copy of Vindicate, which can destroy the Thopter Foundry, but beyond that, I mean, it's a lot of you know, utility cards, but nothing really that can deal with that combo. He does have Wasteland to deal with Academy Runes, but if Chris just slow plays that Academy Runes, even the Vindicate won't stop that Thopter Foundry from entering play again.
Yeah. Now, Deathrite Shaman seems like a great answer to the graveyard. Well, it does not answer artifacts. Artifacts get to sneak on through.
So let's see if Chris can muster together a 6-card hand that's worth keeping. Again, I think this is going to be one of those matchups where it's pretty close. I don't think anyone's particularly favored. Both players can do some powerful things. And let's see, we're off to the races here. Turn 1 Inquisition from Jack.
Yeah, now Jack has been a very disciplined player all day. There are 2 targets. He has a Chalice of the Void that he reveals, Ratchet Bomb, the 2 targets, and then, that's a Thopter Foundry as well.
Unfortunately, Inquisitor Kozlak cannot target Jace the Mind Sculptor. So if Chris can get a little some of his signets or talismans online, he can ramp up and get to Jace mana before Jack Fogle, which is another advantage that Chris has in this matchup.
And goodbye Chalice. Jack wanting just to knock out that haymaker of a card, which just destroys Jack's ability to play cards.
And, you know, again, you can see just how powerful the Chalice is in this matchup. You know, you have the option of taking a Thopter Foundry, which is one of the key combo components of Chris's deck, but Jack just can't afford to because he needs to deal with the Chalice of the Void, because Chalice for 1, even on turn 2, is still very effective against his deck.
If you're just joining me and Osip, one of the things you might see, Chris Andersen leaving his hand revealed. These 2 players have known each other for a while from the Star City Games circuit and just the community of Magic in general. And rather than force Jack to write it down, Chris being quite kind and just leaving those cards revealed.
Yes, it's, you know, obviously you don't do it for everyone, but if you're friends, it's sort of just a time saver. Obviously, Jack would have perfect information anyway if he chose to write everything down. So, just a very respectful, I think, move on Chris's part.
And we see, I believe, a Thoughtseize knocked the Jace out of hand.
Oh,
no, changes the target. I wonder if Chris was like, yeah, the Jace is gone, and Jack's like, no, Thopter Foundry.
And it looks like Jack has a Vindicate in his hand, so he does have an answer to Jace the Mind Sculptor if it does eventually come into play, but he also has another Thoughtseize, it looks like.
We see a second Underground Sea from Chris Andersen, and Ratchet Bomb dropped into play, leaving just a Seed of Synod, a Jace, and a who knows.
So Ratchet Bomb will be able to deal with the Deathrite Shaman in a turn if Chris chooses to do so. Don't see why not. Deathrite Shaman is a very powerful card. It is also a mana source for Jack right now. Unfortunately, Jack, it doesn't appear like he has a 3rd land, so he cannot cast that top deck Jace the Mind Sculptor.
We see Snapcaster using the land from Chris Andersen's graveyard to get the extra mana to cast a Thoughtseize. And goodbye Jace, leaving Chris Andersen with only land. That's a Darkslick Shore joining his Seed of Synod.
Fortunately for Chris, though, he does have a number of powerful cards he can top deck. He does have 8 Planeswalkers in his deck, so he has 7 left. And Jack is a little mana light right here, and if Chris activates that Ratchet Bomb for 1, he'll be able to destroy the Deathrite Shaman, setting Jack a little bit further on mana.
If you're just joining us, this is the StarCityGames.com Open Series Top 8 of my favorite constructed format, Legacy. See Ensnaring Bridge being brought into play. Not a hugely great card overall. It does stop the Snapcaster Mage from being able to attack, but what it also does is it's a target for a potential transmute artifact.
Yeah, and you know, again, somewhat annoying here because Jack can't attack with a Snapcaster Mage. If he does get a Batter Skull into play, he won't be able to attack with that either. But thankfully, Jack does have a Vindicate, so he has the one answer to artifacts in his deck right in his hand. So let's see if, and Jack did draw a third land. He drew a Tundra, so let's see if Jack decides to actually just Vindicate that Ensnaring Bridge right now.
And Chris Andersen still leaving that known card revealed out of just simple courtesy to his friend here, Jack Fogle.
So we're going to get a Vindicate. Yep, and Vindicate on Ensnaring Bridge. I think Jack was thinking, do I need to Vindicate it? I do have a Jace in the hand. I can just win with Jace. I don't need to win with attacking. But decided to just get rid of that Vindicate.
Oh, Dr.
Wow.
Jace.
Great draw
Boom.
from Chris.
I mean, there were 7 forecasting cost Planeswalkers that he could draw there, and Chris found one of them.
Now Chris has a decision. Does he want to brainstorm and get some value and out of that Jace, or does he want to try to Fate Seal Jack and keep him off 4 mana? He kind of knows that Jack is desperate to get to 4th mana. He'll be able to uptick the Planeswalker to 5. So, he actually Fate Seals himself. Interesting. So now he basically needs to brick on a land for 1 turn. Does he dodge it? Yes, it looks like he does. Jack Fogle draws an Umezawa Jete. So fortunate for Chris there. He dodges the 4th land, so Jack can't play the Jace the Mind Sculptor in his hand to Legend Rule the Jace on Chris's side. So Chris does have a Transmute artifact on his in his draw step, and now he decides to Brainstorm. And he draws Dimir Signet, Talisman of Dominance, and Thirst for Knowledge. So let's see what he decides to put back on top here. Transmute artifact looks like it might be going away, along with a Talisman of Dominance. Still has that Thirst for Knowledge. He'll be able to dig for 3 cards, and then he could discard one of the Signets or the Talismans.
If we think about how this game played out so far, Jack has torn up Chris Andersen's hand, and yet Chris Andersen, as we saw earlier, still making some very powerful plays.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't really matter if you're forcing Chris to discard cards if you don't put a lot of pressure on him, because his deck is capable of playing a lot of powerful spells. So I think, this is one of those situations where we kind of saw Chris earlier in the day where he's playing against a Pox deck. Obviously, Esper Deathblade is much more powerful than Pox, but same sort of scenario where the opponent had a lot of early hand disruption, but Chris was able to eventually draw his way out of it because the opponent wasn't able to put enough pressure on him.
We see yet another Thoughtseize taking the Transmute artifact out of Chris Andersen's hand. And remember, earlier the top of the library was set up, the Dimir Signet was put into play, followed by a Thirst for Knowledge, discarding the extra Signet and getting farther into Chris Andersen's deck. Jack Fogle here with the Snapcaster Mage and Umezawa's Jite, 2 land. Whew. And we have one of our first game results. Justin Uppel with Bug wins the first game over Adam Prozac. And as those results come in, we're going to try to make sure to let you know. So that means right now 1 game up, Justin Uppel in the other brackets against Adam Prozac.
And it looks here like if Jack is deciding whether or not he wants to cast a Stoneforge Mystic or just equip that Snapcaster Mage and attack. So it looks like we are going to get a little awkward. Jack Fogle reveals the Jace the Mind Sculptor in his hand. So now Chris has some pretty good information. He knows that Jack is stuck on 3 mana and that he's got a Jace the Mind Sculptor stuck in his hand. So now Chris has to figure out, what do I want to do here? Do I want to just brainstorm? Or do I want to try to Fate Seal? I think he has to brainstorm here. He doesn't really have a choice. Wow. There's a Tezzeret. And Tezzeret's pretty much a great draw for him.
And a Baleful Strix. That's pretty awesome, actually.
So Baleful Strix...
just the drawing a card through kills one of the Umezawa's Jite counters.
Yeah, so it looks like we can... Tezzeret can try to make a 5/5 to block the Snapcaster Mage, or it could dig. Looks like Tezzeret's going to come down here. I kind of like making a 5/5. Just so you can block the Snapcaster, put pressure on, and keep that Jace in play.
And it looks like Chris...
I believe it starts...
still making his decision. He starts at 3.
Yeah, it starts at 3, so it's going down. Dimir Signet becomes a 5/5, and the Strix is going to come down and draw Chris a card.
So now Chris, with 2 creatures in play, that Dimir Signet, currently a 5/5 creature.
So let's see. Tidehouse Scholar could die to one of the Jite tokens. Fogle, does he draw a fourth land? It does not appear like he did. It's a Liliana. He can cast it. He does have an Underground Sea and a scrub land.
Wow.
And
this is gonna be
Liliana
Lily.
will force him to sacrifice the Dimir Signet.
Oof.
So now Jace the Mind Sculptor or Tezzeret will die depending on...
I would get rid of that Tez. As good as Jace is right now, in this moment, Tez seems scarier to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a tough call because obviously it's basically a choice between Brainstorm or Impulse for 5. And yep, so Tezzeret's going to go away. Jace the Mind Sculptor is going to stay in play here. And you still have Snapcaster Mage with a Jeté on it and 3 counters. So we're going to get another Brainstorm activation here. Let's see if he can draw for an answer.
1.
There's Force of Will,
2,
Underground Sea, and
3.
an Island.
Ooh,
So
yuck.
nothing that's going to be able to stop that Snapcaster Mage. So he's going to have... It looks like he's going to be end up losing that Jace the Mind Sculptor next turn.
And have his next 2 draws locked.
So the Dimir Signet comes down and an Island. He will be able to actually cast the Force of Will, but let's see if Jack upticks the Liliana first to make sure that yeah, he's got 2 Stoneforge Mystics in his hand. I think you're okay to probably uptick Liliana here.
Boom.
Here we go. So before combat, uptick Liliana. You see the Force of Will gone. Chris has an empty hand. You're free to attack the Jace now. You're going to get 2 more counters on your Jeté. You can play a Stoneforge Mystic from your hand to get a Batterskull. So Jack in pretty good shape, despite being stuck on 3 mana.
And remember, Chris Andersen has 2 cards he does not want on top of his library.
Yep, and if Jack draws a 4th land to finally cast that Jace in his hand, I'd say this game was probably locked up. Jack Fogle can actually start pumping that Snapcaster now, so he can deal actually 13 points of damage next turn if he chooses to. And looks like Chris is going to just scoop up there. It doesn't really...
He knows. You can see the writing on the wall. 1 more card on top.
Chris just shaking his head. Can't believe his draws there. But, yeah, I mean, Jack, you know, Chris got a little unlucky at the end there, but still, Jack was stalled on land forever. At any point he draws a 4th land there, it can be devastating for Chris. So, I think both players might have gotten a little unlucky, but Jack's deck can operate under less mana than Chris's, so kind of worked out for him.
Okay, so these players are going to be reviewing each other's deck lists. Now, one of the things that we do in all of these top 8s is we have the competitors have access to each other's deck lists. They can make perfect decisions based on the information available, theoretically perfect decisions. Obviously, I know if I'm looking at a deck list in front of me, I can't guarantee I'll make a perfect decision, but hopefully these players will do a little bit better. Now, also though, in every top 8, aside from these competitors being able to look at each other's deck lists, one of the things that we do is we do a StarCityGames.com premium giveaway. And what that means is, for all of the viewers out there, you can get free StarCityGames.com premium in our top 8. During the quarterfinals, we give away 3 free months. The semifinals, 6 free months, and 1 full year for the finals. So make sure you stay watching all day. And what you do is you're going to tweet an answer to a trivia question to that hashtag SCG Premium. You can see it right here below OSIP's elbow. And if you are one of the people that successfully answers the trivia question that we provide to you correctly, one person will be selected to win the prize. So this is a pretty simple one, honestly. Grand Prix Miami is coming up, and if you've been watching all day, you should know who the 3 commentators are at Grand Prix Miami. Now, I'm not sure. Do you have any idea? We shouldn't give them any clues, should we?
I don't think we should give them any clues.
No clues.
They are 3 amazing commentators.
Yeah, these are some commentators of commentators. So the question is, what 3 commentators will be covering Grand Prix Miami? Tweet your answer with the hashtag SCG Premium, and 1 person amongst you will be selected to get 3 free months of Star City Games Premium. Back to our match at hand. Jack Fogle up game 1 versus Chris Andersen. You can see him there on the right. On the left, Chris Andersen, I believe an Indianapolis player, trying to come up with the right sideboarding choices here, and looks like he settled on his choices. Jack Fogle shuffling up himself, giving one last review of his sideboard. In the background, I can see Adam Jansen, the Star City Games Milwaukee champion in Legacy. He said he had a pretty poor day today with Sneak and Show, and I asked him if it was still, in his opinion, a good deck choice. He said definitely. Now, you can see the sideboards here. What do you like for Chris Andersen against Jack Fogle here for his Tezzeret deck versus Esper Deathblade?
Well, I kind of, Ensnaring Bridge is a reasonable sideboard option. In that situation, it's sort of a card that Jack does need to answer if he plans on trying to attack for the win. Obviously, he has ways to win with Jace the Mind Sculptor, but at least it forces the issue. So I think Ensnaring Bridge is a reasonable option. I also think Pied Needles, not bad, shuts off Stoneforge Mystic. Notion Thief is a card that we've been seeing and we've been talking about all day. I'm not sure if it's good in this matchup, but it's certainly, it's the card you have for Jace the Mind Sculptor. So
right.
I would expect it to at least come in because you're playing against the deck with Jace the Mind Sculptor, Brainstorm. So that's what it's there for. You might as well bring it in. And I also think Trinisphere is actually probably pretty good in this matchup.
I think that's probably true, too. One of the things that's kind of funny about that Notion Thief, in theory, it's there to be this little surprise lurking in the shadows, coming out and just basically robbing your opponent of their hopes and dreams. But here, Jack Fogle can look through that sideboard. He knows it's there. He doesn't know if Chris Andersen has brung it in. He doesn't know if Chris Andersen will have it in his hand at any point, unless he has a Thoughtseize or other such card. But it does change the math when you know it exists in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, well, Chris has 4 copies of Force of Will in his main deck, which aren't particularly effective in this matchup. So I could see those cards coming out. I also don't know how good Baleful Strix is in this matchup. I could see maybe cutting some of those. So he has options for what he can cut.
And we have some more results from the rest of this top 8. Lauren Nolan wins the first game. That's the Blade deck against Ant by Jacob Bao. And then in the No Bant versus Stoneblade, Joseph Herrera and Evan Allen have both picked up a game, and they're heading into Game 3.
So what do you think Jack Fogle is probably going to be bringing in this matchup?
Well, I definitely think that Duress is going to come in against a deck with all these Planeswalkers, the card draw, the Force of Wills. Whether or not Chris Andersen keeps in Force of Wills, it's the kind of deck that Duress is really good against. Vendilion Click serves as a clock plus disruption, so I really like that. And I actually also think Surgical Extraction could be very key. He knows his opponent is playing a Sword of the Meek combo deck, and Surgical Extraction beyond that can be good with that Cabal Therapy style effect where you hit somebody's hand, you see that they've got another copy of something, and then you can just hit the other copies with Surgical Extraction.
Yeah, I think he wants that. I think he also wants the Snapcasters and Explosives. So,
the Explosives at 2 is very good in this matchup.
Yes, so it's also a way for him to deal with Chalice on 1. So, both players seem to have some good options at post board. Again, I think Chris's deck is capable of doing, I think with 8 Planeswalkers, might be at a slight advantage. But again, he's down a game, so let's see if he can pick up a game here in Game 2.
And if I remember correctly, I believe that Chris Andersen did mulligan that first game.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Fogle on the right if you're just joining us. Now, I was really impressed by Jack Fogle's discipline earlier in the day. Now, we did see him accidentally bump over one of his own cards, so that was revealing it to Chris Andersen, but he just has played very disciplined Magic when I saw him under the camera earlier.
So it looks like Jack has a Force of Will in his hand, so it looks like it's a Force of Will and a Brainstorm.
Jack has laid his only creeping Tar Pit, a card that not only serves as a potential finisher, but is yet another dual land in Jack's deck. Immune to choke.
So Chris Andersen sacks his Polluted Delta, searches for an Underground Sea, and he looks like we have a Vendilion Click in his hand, a Tidehauer Skull, Baleful Strix, and now he just drew City of Traders, Talisman of Dominance. So a lot of options here for Chris, and it looks like Baleful Strix is going to come down. Jack, does he choose to Force of Will this card? Probably not. And maybe, yep, so Baleful Strix does resolve. Jack has multiple copies of Stoneforge Mystic, so...
Baleful Strix might be the best Elvish Visionary ever.
Yes, it is pretty good. Unfortunately, it's not an elf.
Yes, elf as just a race in this game, very powerful on its own.
Yes. So Jack Fogle has a Tundra that I could see coming into play right now, and then Stoneforge Mystic. He also has a Brainstorm, but I'm not sure if he has another blue card to pitch to Force of Will. It looks like there might be something behind that Brainstorm, but we know he has Stoneforge Mystic ×2. Looks like he has a Force of Will, Brainstorm, and then several lands. So, yep, Stoneforge Mystic comes down here.
Stoneforge easily able to give the consistency to these various blade decks. Batterskull being essentially at will, being able to be brought to your hand is awesome. He chooses Umezawa's Jite in this case.
So Chris does have can do some pretty explosive stuff this turn. He's going to go City Traders and play either Dimir Signet or Talisman, and then he can just cast a Vendilion Click, targeting Jack Fogle and trying to get that Jite out of the hand. We know that Jack has a Force of Will, so let's see if he's going to actually try to stop that Vendilion Click from entering play.
That would not be unreasonable. At this point, Chris Andersen does not have to be a combo deck. He can just instead be 4 points in the air every turn, and with that Umezawa's Jite knocked to the bottom, Jack might have troubles answering it.
So it depends, but again, Jack has you know, he probably boarded in some more Lingering Souls to fight those Planeswalkers, and it looks like we do have. It looks like there might be a Lingering Souls in his hand, an alternate art Lingering Souls, but.
Jite, Brainstorm, Force of Will, and I believe you're right that that's a Lingering Souls under that Force of Will, Polluted Delta, and then 2 cards I can't make out, one underneath the Umezawa's Jite and one in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, I think that's 2 lands, a Snapcaster Mage, Jite, Brainstorm, Force of Will, and Lingering Souls. So I'd imagine Jite's, well, could be Jite, could be Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls pretty effective in this particular board right here. Yeah, tough call for Chris.
Okay, we do have confirmation that that card underneath the Umezawa's Jite is Snapcaster. The last 2 cards, Polluted Delta and something, perhaps another land, and we say goodbye to the Umezawa's Jite, giving us a mystery card.
Yeah, this is just an unfortunate situation for Chris. Pretty much have to take the Jite there. Given your board state, it could just take control of things pretty quickly, especially how we saw the last game play out. But again, Lingering Souls is pretty good against this board.
And that last card is a Wasteland. Jack Fogle untaps, Lingering Souls in hand, access to 3 mana.
So let's see if Jack just plays that Wasteland and casts Lingering Souls here. Or did he happen to draw a Batterskull to make that play even better? So looks like they're deciding. Okay, so Jack wants to pick up his hand. Chris is okay with it.
I mean, I know that you left your hand open, but I don't like playing like that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So it looks like Jack drew a Dark Confidant off the Vendilion Click and then an Underground Sea for his turn. So let's see what he wants to do here. It looks like we're going to have a Lingering Souls, and 2 tokens are going to come into play. 2 very effective blockers against a Baleful Strix and a Vendilion Click.
We have our first match result in. Justin Uppel with Bugshard has defeated Adam Prozac 2-0. So we have our first match result in with the Bugshard deck defeating Adam Prozac, Justin Uppel 2-0.
Wow, Prozac again makes top 8 with Ant and loses in the first round. Surprising. This is happened here and happened at the Invitational as well, I believe. So looks like we drew a Ratchet Bomb for the turn. So Ratchet Bomb could come down. It could deal with the tokens, or he could try to ramp it up to 2 here. Let's see what he wants to do. Could clear away the tokens for a turn and attack for 4, but not really sure how effective that is. And Chris Andersen debating what he wants to do here. Does he want to play a Dimir Signet? And yep, the Ratchet Bomb's going to come down here.
It's an excellent card for him to have right now, just for the moment to clear the air.
Yeah, but again,
it's not Fogle,
yeah, it's not going to last. Fogle can always flash back to Lingering Souls, and Fogle's at 20, so it's not like you're putting that much pressure on him. So let's see, Chris Andersen, not many options here. He's going to play another Signet, and then I guess he's just going to pass the turn. Maybe he wants to wait to get a little more value, maybe try to bait Jack into flashing back those Lingering Souls, but I can't imagine Jack's not really Jack doesn't need to flash back Lingering Souls. He's got the 2 blockers for Chris's 2 flyers, so I think he's more than happy with just sitting back on defense.
And look at these cards. Chris Andersen with 2 cards in hand, and Jack Fogle, not only with Force of Will, Brainstorm, Dark Confidant, but tons of other cards in that hand.
Yeah, and Fogle also has a Wasteland too, so if Fogle Wastelands one of the Underground Seas, then Chris is at a point where maybe he can't even afford to crack that Ratchet Bomb up to 2, even though he might want to get rid of a Stoneforge Mystic perhaps, but still, you're going to be losing all your Signets and your Talisman along with your Baleful Strix. So, tough spot for Chris right here. Ratchet Bomb potentially basically it's just holding back the flashback from Lingering Souls. So Jack draws looks like he drew another Stoneforge Mystic, which will allow him to search up that Jete again. He also has a Wasteland, so probably doesn't want to have to Wasteland just yet. Or maybe he wants to go after the Underground Sea. Chris has so much access to mana right here. Don't think it's necessary just yet. Let's see what Jack ends up doing. Jack looks like he's going to be attacking here. With maybe at least 1 token. Nope, both tokens are coming over. So interesting here. Interesting play here. Let's see if he's basically trading 2 damage for 4 damage. I'd be surprised if he actually flashed back the Lingering Souls here. So are we gonna get a Dark Confidant and a Stormforge Mystic? Or? Yep, it looks like Dark Confidant is coming down. And yep, Stoneforge Mystic is also gonna be coming down this turn. And I'm surprised both creatures came down because the other Stoneforge Mystic has been in play for several turns, so he could have searched for a Batterskull and actually activated the Stoneforge at the end of turn and put it into play if he wanted to, but looks like he just wanted that Dark Confidant in play instead, so he's just going for a Jete.
I think he's trying to dare Chris Andersen to drop, or to bring his Ratchet Bomb up to 2.
That's what it looks like, but I can't imagine Chris falling for it.
Go. Chris Andersen untaps. He's not having it. He's going to keep that 0.
So Chris draws for the turn. It is a Chalice of the Void. Not very effective right here. He can potentially do Chalice for 3 so that Jack can't flash back the Lingering Souls. But he still has to deal with the Numazawa Jete. So looks like we are going to get. Yeah, I don't quite understand the Ratchet Bomb now because the tokens are tapped, so there's really no need to Ratchet Bomb just yet.
There's no Stifles or Trick Binds to fear from
Jack
Fogle
you know
either.
the deck list. So wow. Okay, he wants to get the Chalice in play. So
yeah, Chalice
he is going to be. It looks like he might actually be Chalicing for 3 here.
Yeah. He's got plenty of mana.
Wow.
Chalice for 3. This saves his Chalice from being blown up by the Ratchet Bomb.
And yeah, I mean, I know I mentioned it, but I wasn't really sure if he'd go for it here, just because, yes, you turn off the Lingering Souls, but,
Next turn, you're losing your team to Umezawa's Jete.
Yeah, you really need an answer to that. So maybe you kind of needed to ratchet up that Ratchet Bomb.
I mean, Chris Andersen, he is at the point in this game, I think, where about his only out is the Thopter combo, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, if you draw that Chalice, I could understand Chalicing for 3, but I think you might have to ratchet up that bomb.
Vindicate is revealed by Dark Confidant, Bob dealing 3 damage to Jack Fogle.
And draws a Vindicate and a Jace the Mind Sculptor, so pretty commanding position for Jack Fogle right here.
I mean, when you think about the contents of Jack Fogle's deck, here we see Umezawa's Jete equipped to a Stoneforge Mystic. Baleful Strix kills off that Mystic, but there's the Jete with 2 counters. It just feels like a murderer's row. Deathrite Shaman, Dark Confidant, Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage, Thoughtseize. These are all incredible cards.
Yeah, some of those powerful cards. It's like the best 2-drops, basically, Wizards have ever made. Jack now in a commanding board position. He has a way to kill the Vendilion Click. He also has a Force of Will in his hand still with the blue cards to pitch it. And a Snapcaster Mage, which he can use to rebuy.
Oh, ouch.
Wow, so another Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Now, Jack isn't even in danger of dying to his own Bob with bad luck, because Umezawa's Jite can always kill Dark Confidant at any time, and he can put that Jite onto his Stoneforge Mystic and just have a life gain repository on that Jite as well.
So it looks like both creatures are going to come in here. Chris will be taking 3, and Jite will be getting 2 more counters. Are we going to see Jason the Mind Sculptor enter play now? It looks like we might. And now with Jason play, he can actually set up his draws that he could take, minimize the amount of damage that he takes from Dark Confidant.
I wonder if we're just basically going to be seeing, in essence, a repeat of what happened to Robbie Cordell this tournament. Robbie Cordell, the standard player playing the Rock, the innovative, interesting deck in the top 8, and he lost right away to Ben Weinberg playing an Aya Blitz. Chris Andersen with the Legacy deck, that's the innovative, interesting deck here, looking to lose right away to Jack Fogle.
Well, you know, it's not that surprising, because if you think about it, the innovative decks, they're at their best in the Swiss when they take people by surprise. In the top 8, your opponents have perfect information now, so they know exactly what your plan is, they know what your sideboard plan is, so they can play accordingly.
And Chris Andersen smiles all, gives the handshake to his friend Jack Fogle. Jack Fogle will advance a quick 2-0 victory over Chris Andersen. And what we have left then, 2 matches left. Jacob Bow versus Laura Nolan. Last we checked, Jacob Bow was down against Laura Nolan. Laura Nolan 1-0 last we checked over Jacob. The other match underway, No Bant versus the Evan Allen Stoneblade list.
So I believe the 3-6 No Band versus Blade is our backup match. So we're gonna